think this week for me has been very overwhelming. I felt so much more conscious as a woman, and not only as a woman, as a black woman, just in general. And I think everything going online, I think is necessary. It's so sad that, you know, obviously rest in peace, Sarah, that something like so tragic had to happen to bring such awareness. And I think that's what always happens these days. It's like we wait until something really bad happens, and
we are reactive as opposed to proactive.
Exactly. We wait till something really like terrible happens, and then we're all like outraged, and then we're all like bringing awareness, which I guess is necessary. But I just wish there was a way that we could have prevented this. I guess it's not on women. You know, it's not our responsibility to educate men. Do you know what I mean? I think there's been I've seen a lot online about how men can make women feel safer, how, you know, you can act around a woman, especially at certain times of the night or certain times, just to make them feel a bit more comfortable. Which I guess, yes, some men really are ignorant and don't really understand, because they're men, they don't understand what it is like to be a woman, some of the emotions that we go through just by walking down the street. Do you know what I mean?
Just a bit vulnerable, basically.
Exactly. And so I guess a lot of guys have been enlightened. I've seen a lot of comments online about guys saying, wow, I didn't even know that me just doing this, or me just walking on the same side of the street as a woman, or me just being a certain way is causing so much like anxiety to women. So I guess, you know, her death will not be in vain. Like, a lot of lessons will be learned. But it's just frustrating and really, really sad that this had to happen. You know, I just think it's disgusting. I think the fact that it was even a police officer as well is even, it's such a shock. It's like, you are supposed to be the one protecting her, and you do this. Do you know what I mean? So
for me, I'm in like two minds, because I don't understand why it took her death for this to surge. And first of all, her situation is so different, because it was someone who's supposed to protect, who has the authority to protect and all stuff like that, is someone who now committed the crime, which to me is a bit mind-boggling. I just feel like as a woman, it's so weird, because you actually don't realise. But now that I think about it, when I used to work in retail and I used to like do the late shift, and I'll be walking home from the station, I am very conscious of my surrounding. If I see like someone, forget it, hoodie or someone walking with a bit of a sweat, just anyone, I'll just like cross the road. And I didn't realise that I'm doing that, but I actually do it. Or I'm just like weary, or turn down the volume in my speakers, things like that. So I am a bit shocked. Like, I did see a lot of tweets like, how come it took her death for people to know that women are vulnerable, women are victims, like, and I feel like because her death was committed by a policeman, I feel like that's a completely different discussion. I think for me, that's more about basically being aware that policemen, men and women, are also humans, and you know, maybe they're not always there to protect. And I guess, you know, someone said something like, this is about women's rights, it's not about Black Lives Matter, almost degrading and downplaying the
I saw that she was an ex-police officer as well, which is crazy.
See, that it's like, this is what a lot of Black people have gone through in terms of being victims to the police. I feel like, yes, definitely she's a woman, but it just goes to show that now that they've done it to a white woman, see how much, like, you know, press is getting and how everyone's in support of it. Whereas when it was Black Lives Matter, there was the pros and the people who supported and the people who were so against the movement.
Do you know what it is? I think it's just in case people live under a rock and they don't know, the basic story is there was a young girl, I think she was like 33, called Sarah Everard, and she basically was walking home from Clapham.
She went to visit a friend.
She went to go visit a friend. She was walking home from Clapham and was trying to get to Brixton, and the walk is about 50 minutes. And then she basically disappeared, and no one heard from her. She spoke to her boyfriend for about 15 minutes on the phone on her walk home, and then she just disappeared. I remember seeing loads of like, please help us find Sarah, missing posters all over social media, and unfortunately her body was actually found in Kent. Her remains were found in Kent, and they found the
elements of her body in his like car or something, didn't they?
I'm not sure about that. I don't know. I know they took his cars to try and search for like evidence and stuff like that. So I don't know what they found in there. But so he got arrested, and now obviously before it was just a missing persons case, and then they confirmed later on this week that, or last week, sorry, that the body was actually identified as the young girl that was missing.
I want to know why, because there's no reasons why he committed it. For now, all we know is a policeman kidnapped and murdered a woman, right? For no reason. I just don't understand. The story to me is like, why? And that really scares me because I'm never one that tells. I never walk home late at night, like in central London or anything. I can still, Essex is kind of safe, so I can do Essex. But central London, there's so many people out there, so many crime, things like that. So I always advise people, get Uber, even if it's like a 30-minute walk away. Get Uber, just to be safe, especially as a woman, because you are a target. So this really does frighten me.
I can't lie. Just in this last few weeks, I've been more conscious that I'm a woman than I ever have before. I'm scared of everything. I'm scared to drive alone in a dark thing. I'm just scared that someone might stop my car or try jumping. I don't know, like to the point where even in my car, I'm scared. Do you know what I mean? And I think I don't want it to be a thing where women are living in fear constantly because of the things.
I'm always paranoid in my car. I lock the doors all the time.
And the maddest thing is, apparently, you're not even supposed to lock your doors because, God forbid, if something was to happen, like you're supposed to get into an accident or something, they need your door to be unlocked so they can get easier access to you. Yeah. But I lock my door as well, just because I'm a bit scared. Do you know one of my biggest fears is that I get into my car and there's someone in the back seat that's like broken into my car. They just get me from the back. No, I'm not even joking. I literally...
Some Final Destination.
No, I'm not joking. Every single time I have to look in the back because the way my car is set up, I've got tinted windows at the back. Okay. So when I'm looking in, I can't actually see what's going on in the
eyeballs.
Back. Literally, I'm looking in the mirror, and I have always been scared to walk anywhere at night. Do you know what I mean? I've always been scared. I'm like you. I would get an Uber. There's even cases where Uber drivers have actually raped passengers as well, raped women. So.
I just don't know, like, you know me.
It's really disgusting and very scary.
I do love our men, but honestly, some of them are vultures. Like, I just don't understand how you can't control yourself, or what happened down the line. Like, why have you become this? Like, they see women and they just feel like they are entitled to do whatever they want. And this could be minuscule. It could be something as minuscule as just like, grabbing bum, or just saying, give me your number, and expecting her to give it to you. Or if you're dressing this way, that means, you want it. Or if I tell you to come to my house at a certain time, that means you've got to give it. It can be something like that to something grave like rape, something like kidnapping, something like being abusive. There's so many elements of it, and no matter how large, no matter how intense, no matter how small, no matter how passive it is not right. And I feel like they need to maybe integrate this into like the education system, or how men are raised, because I feel like we've always grown up to say, my son's going to be a heartbreaker. He's going to do this. My son's going to be powerful. Yeah, the men need to do this. Men lead. But no, because I feel like that's given them some sort of entitlement or power to kind of feel like they can do whatever they want.
I think it definitely starts with how you raise your male child in the household. And I also think older guys, and this is something that Sideman, I think it's Sideman Daily, the guy from Birmingham, he said this in one of the videos he put online, and I really agree with it. I think Mandem needs to start shaming their friends. They need to start having those conversations within their group. When there's a guy that's been a bit too pervy, a guy that's been a bit too forceful, or being funny with a girl, the guys will normally, some guys will laugh it off, or just be like, oh, whatever. I think that is where you need to shame, like, what are you doing, bro? Like, that is disgusting. Why
do you want to tell the story in the club?
What story?
And the birthday, when that inappropriate comment and they dropped.
Oh my gosh, yeah, okay.
I feel like that's the perfect example.
I mean, I didn't plan to say the story, but just to cut long story short, I was at a club, and I was out for one of my friend's boyfriend's birthdays, and one of the guys was being really overly kind of like sexually forceful in the way he was speaking with me, not necessarily the way he physically, but just in some things he was saying was a bit inappropriate, and I didn't know him. This is the first time ever meeting him, so I felt a bit uncomfortable. So after that whole situation, I spoke to my friend's boyfriend boyfriend and told him the story, and he literally dropped his boys, like, that's unacceptable. You cannot speak to my girlfriend's friends like that, and just dropped him. And I think that will teach him a lesson. Like, I lost a friend from being this way, and maybe that will make him more mindful of being a certain way, speaking a certain way to women that's just inappropriate. And I think this is a conversation that Mandem need to have in their groups. Like, when a guy's doing something, you need to call your boy out and let them know that this is wrong. If you don't agree, because if you don't say anything and you're laughing with him, you're complicit, because that means you're somewhat agreeing with the choices, and if you're going to be online and be like, no, I don't agree with this, or you're going to speak about it, but then when your guys are also like, they're people that also, you know, they speak down on women, or they're forceful with women, or they just have some sort of entitlement, you know, like, that's your boy. He's a reflection of you at the end of the day. There's no way that one of my friends are going to be doing something that I'm 100% uncomfortable with, and I'm going to shut my mouth and let it happen. I'm going to be like, yo, like, whoever you are, like, you're my girl. I'm telling you that this is wrong. Like, this is not right. Do you know what I mean? And I think if Mandem start to shame their other friends and have those conversations, it might make them more aware of what they're doing.
See, I was talking to one of my male friends recently, and he literally told me that he had a friend. You know how some guys do that whole line on girls, like, I had sex with that girl.
Oh, laid on the dick.
So, yeah. And he said, like, you know, one of the guys did that, and he literally, they all called him out. Like, all of them called him out. Like, why are you doing that? And once they found out that he was lying, and he was so embarrassed, and he apologized, and he hasn't done that again. So we're not saying cut off your friend, but definitely educate them. And if they're not changing, then that you need to cut ties. I actually had a situation like this with someone in uni who he had been accused several times of forcing himself on women, and he had friends that stuck by him, but when it really came to light, they all kind of dropped him. And I just feel like, you know, I don't know. It's up to them how they wish to handle it. I don't know what discussions they had behind closed doors. I don't know the effects, because it can even affect their friend mentally. Like, you know, it can be daunting to think, oh, is my friend like that? And he's like telling me he's not. It's a lot. And, you know, those girls are lying, but then are they lying? And it's a lot of emotions as a friend you will go through. So I understand that. But I think it's very important that you seek help and seek, like, from professionals to understand what's going on, because I feel like many of us depend on our knowledge, our intellect, but you need to seek help. You need to go to your female accountant and say, this has happened. You need to go to actual professionals, therapists, because honestly, it's mind-boggling, like, it's daunting.
And a lot of guys' excuses would be that it's just their ignorance, that they don't even realise that they're doing it. And I think that's the problem. I think people, guys, they need to be more conscious of the way they're behaving, especially towards women. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Because I've been in situations personally where I've been intimidated by guys. Do you know what I mean? I felt that I had to do something because I was almost coerced into doing something that I wasn't actually 100% comfortable with doing. Do you know what I mean? I've also had situations where guys have literally tried to force themselves onto me. And I have a history of stuff that I can't even be that open with. I only opened up to my mum about something really deeply that happened to me when I was younger, literally last year. And I'd gone through this when I was in primary school. So when I say, like, I've literally experienced, I've been first-hand experience of guys really, really overexerting their false authority onto me and trying to coerce me. And I think if you ask that guy, because one of the situations that I was in, I spoke to one of his friends and I said, this is what happened. And when he went back to him, he was like, oh, it wasn't even like that. No, like, I thought she was this, I thought she was down, Like, he didn't even understand that he had made me feel this way.
That's where the problem starts.
And my body language and everything about me that in that situation screamed that I'm not on this. Do you know what I mean? So I just think that just because you think that, you know, I think read the room, read the woman's body language, and really be conscious of what you are doing and when you're doing it, because at the end of the day, you don't realize the implications that you're having on this girl or on this woman. Do you know what I mean? I think it's really, really important, and I'm happy that these conversations are being had. Do you know what I mean? It's just annoying that there has to be victims of honestly. It all the time. I'm hearing stories, you know, R.I.P. the girl and the Blessing as well. She literally disappeared, and the police said it wasn't suspicious. How can a girl be on the beach and just disappear in the middle of the night and say it's not suspicious? I do not understand that.
She passed away on the beach. She didn't disappear. They found her on the beach.
They found her on the beach.
Yeah.
And that was it. You know, you found her body on the beach and you just say, well, that's it. You know, and she even got buried in Nigeria. The family flew her body to Nigeria and buried her.
That's what I'm saying. That this makes me think. Why was it Sarah?
Sarah.
Why was Sarah's one like heavily so much attention, and then Blessing they kind of brushed it off? Is it a race thing again? This country is really starting to give me.
I don't know. I think it just makes me really frustrated to hear these girls' stories, because it could be any girl. Like we're not special. We're not. Do you know what I mean? We're just lucky that God and God forbid will never be our portion. That this has not happened to us. Do you know what I mean? And I really, really need these things to kind of like, I'm tired of reading them. Yeah. You know, I'm really, really tired of reading these kind of stories. I'm tired of these things happening.
Yeah, and I think it's important to bear in mind that it's not only sexual abuse or anything like that we're discussing. It's everything. Of course, yeah. It's the way you make a girl feel. It's you know, being abusive, being violent, manipulation. Because that manipulation thing, I don't think people understand, because it's not something that's so like wrong, because it's like you're just saying stuff.
It's not as evident.
It's not evident, and it's not seen as wrong, because in the eyes of the law, he was just speaking, you know. But being manipulative, trying to kind of make someone, trick someone into do something they don't want to do. It to me is you're just a weirdo. Like, listen, in this life there will be people that will be on board, and there'll be people that won't be on board. Just go for the people that are on board. Stop trying to force things. Stop being weird. Like, honestly, it's weird. But rest in peace to Sarah. Condolences to her family. Honestly, it's such a shame that the police, apparently that the policeman though, once they arrested him, he got boxed by all the feds.
Oh, he had to go to hospital for injuries that he sustained whilst he was arrested. So is that what happened? I didn't hear about that.
They said that he's a well-respected policeman, even though he had history of like public indecency. But he's a well-respected policeman, so they felt disappointed by him. So apparently they knocked the living daylights out of him.
What do you think about because there was like a visual?
But quick one though. What? How do you feel about them actually knocking the living? Because I had a conversation with my brother about this, and my brother was like, yeah, like they beat him up. And I said, to be fair though, as policemen, I get it, they're emotional, but as policemen, they actually have a protocol of professionalism to follow. They shouldn't have actually done that. And this is where the problem starts. These policemen are not professional. No matter how emotional you are, you need to stay neutral on that point. So if they are able to beat someone who's...
I can't lie.
If you're able to beat a criminal, then and go against your code of conduct or whatever as a policeman, what is hindering you from beating a pedestrian that you also feel like is wrong, and you have no rights to do that?
I think it's different.
I just feel like everyone needs to be professional. They should have let him be tested in the eye of the law, because he's getting life.
I don't know. I just think it's, you know, when it's like, first of all, you're one of us. Do you know what I mean? And
who's one of us?
Like the police officers are probably thinking you're one of us.
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
The police officers are thinking you're one of us. Do you know what I mean? And sometimes the emotion got over, and sometimes when you're in that situation, you don't know what's going to happen. Like you just might. I can understand. Like you said, the police officers are human as well.
Yeah.
Listen, if I had hands, like if anyone did anything that I felt, and I have that kind of thing with you might get rocked as well. If I'm in honestly, if I'm in that situation and I'm riled up, like. I don't have hands like that, but you'll catch them. They might be a bit weak.
Put them paws on you.
They might be a bit weak, but you're going to catch them. So I can understand their frustration and why they did it. I'm not saying it was right, but listen, sometimes situations, someone needs to get rocked, and he deserves to get rocked.
I get their frustration, because now look at the kind of uproar that it's kind of caused.
And it's a really, really bad light on the police.
It's a bad light on the police. And the police, I feel like, yes, they've done some wrong stuff, but they are good policemen and policewomen out there. And these type of things ain't helping. And at the end of the day, we do need protection, inverted commas, from the policemen. A bit cliche now, but we do need them for, you know, like people are still facing stuff where they'll need them. So I feel like maybe there needs to be a reform. There just needs to be a reform in the police department. Yeah,
man. There's always, like, in every
country.
In every country, there's gonna be like crooked police officers.
Corrupt.
It's just corrupt, and you know, it's very frustrating. I was gonna ask, speaking about that, what you thought about. I don't know if you saw, but there was like a vigil for Sarah, and it was basically not supposed to happen because of like the corona guidelines and stuff, but it happened anyway, and it was a mad thing.
Yeah,
like, the police were moving mad, like arresting women, like throwing them on the ground, like proper, like, you know, handcuffing them and stuff like that for something that was supposed to be a peaceful vigil.
Protest, a vigil. Yeah,
it wasn't even a protest. honest. And I think that's when the lady, I think she was Asian, she was like, oh, you know, this is a sensitive issue. I don't think it should have been handled this way. This isn't Black Lives Matter. That was very tone deaf and very in bad taste as well to say that, because Black Lives Matter is also an organisation that was formed because Black people were being killed. So yes, Sarah got killed and that's disgusting, but Black Lives Matter is also representing people that have been killed because they were Black.
In every single thing that happens in this like country, they always remind us how much they belittle Black people. Because why did she even need to mention Black Lives Matter in a situation like that? She felt like she had to kind of tear down the Black Lives Matter cause to uplift Sarah's cause. Like, for what?
I don't, because I didn't see the full. You know how
awful.
You know how things are. You get a little short clip of something. You don't see the full context. So I don't know if they'd mentioned it or they'd asked her about it. So I don't know. But still, to me, I think just, you know, you're on national or international TV. Like, you need to be careful because you don't know who's watching and what could be affected. And I think the really annoying thing is, I feel like I am Black first and a woman second, and I feel like a lot of women they choose their race before they choose their their gender. I feel like they
what do you mean by that?
I mean, like, so, you know, they would, you know, because women, obviously, if we're looking at society, it's just the fact, like, we're not as up there as men in terms of, in so many ways. So I think what it is that a white woman, as long as she's still white, that means she's still got that level of hierarchy. So she will choose to be white before she chooses to be a woman. So if something happens to like a Black woman, she would feel it. She wouldn't feel it less, if that makes sense, because it's like she relates more to the fact that she's white than she's a woman. And I think this is one of the things that was happening with her mentioning the Black Lives Matter thing. It was like, first of all, it's not nothing to do with that. We're speaking about womanhood here.
Women
do you know
rights,
what I mean?
yeah.
Every single woman has been affected by this thing. Do you know what I mean? Black, white, Asian, wherever you're from, I see myself in Sarah. Do you know what I mean? To a certain degree, I see myself. I'm a young girl. I'm around her age, and it could have been me. Do you know what I mean? That's why I see myself in her. And I think if it was a Black woman, I think some people will find it hard for them, especially if they're not Black, to see themselves, or they don't see themselves in us the way that we can see ourselves in like a white woman, or we can relate directly to that because we feel for them and we can understand. Do you know what I mean? So yeah,
I know. No, I definitely get you. It's almost like pick the struggle.
Yeah. It's like,
pick a struggle.
I don't want to be white. At least I'm white in it. I've got something in it. I've got something on my side. Do you know what I mean?
Honestly.
That's how I feel, honestly.
And obviously we can't, well, in the eyes of society, what society digests, we've got both the struggles. So, but do you know what? I'm a strong, Black, independent woman. And I'm proud, okay?
I'm proud. The Southern accent, I'm proud.
I'm proud, darling.